All right, and welcome to another space with IONET. This time we've got a special episode with Tori and Gaurav. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing great, sir. Everything all good?
Tori, how's token going for you?
It's going pretty well. Was just there today, and it's just amazing, because I come each year to see how much it grows each time.
Great. Well, we'll have plenty of time to talk about updates from token in later episodes. This one, we're talking about the announcement that was made last week about the transition from Tori to be chairperson of head of the IONET Foundation and Gaurav taking over as CEO. We're going to first deal with some questions from the community to both of you. Then we're going to have time for questions from our listeners. For our listeners, please submit your questions and we will take them in the order in which they are received. With that, let's go right into it. Tori, my first question is for you. In the announcement post, this is something you've said this is something you've looked forward to for a long time. Could you describe what was that moment that led to this shift in transition?
So I think it was really the acknowledgement that this is the moment now for decentralized AI. The core difference this time is the magnitude and immediacy of the opportunity. I believe that decentralized AI will be crypto's killer app. Crypto has made a lot of strides in the past decade. We've seen DeFi, NFTs, and DAOs. But despite billions invested, all these have failed to achieve mainstream adoption. I mean, you look at like fewer than 1% of people use crypto for anything more than speculation. Less than 0.1% of internet users are using DeFi, and NFT users have fallen over 90% in the past 2 years. But decentralized AI is just a fundamentally different case. It's solving a hair on fire problem in the biggest market in the world. And I think that crypto is the only way that this can survive. It's the only way that AI scales to meet the insane demand. It's the only way that we have the permissionless infrastructure to support trillions of agents. It's the only way we can trust AI. It's the only way we can accelerate innovation through composability. And it's the only way to free the most powerful technology ever created from a handful of big tech companies. So in short, crypto was made for AI, and very few people realize this. And it's so critical that we desperately get this message out there now.
And before I ask you to expand upon it, Gaurav, I want to bring you into this conversation. With what Tori said around decentralized AI, what should we as a community and as interest in the space expect of changes in IONET's strategic direction, product timelines, or team structure under your leadership?
The main thing which we'll do is we'll double down on things which we've been doing from past 1 year. Because like imagine we're just a 1.5 year old startup. And the amount of things we have achieved, it's nothing short of phenomenal, right? And as they say in the practical world, don't break which something is working right. So our execution, our plan, our vision, they were always great. And basically the place where we are standing right now, it proves that what we envisioned was the right thing and the execution we were doing was working. So we will just double on the same plan. Our plan always was to create a decentralized AI cloud. We started from the most fundamental thing which is needed when you build this decentralized AI cloud, which is compute. We did a great job. Then we went a step further ahead and started creating this AI layer on top of it with IO intelligence. That worked great. And now we are just like literally are getting driven by market forces, by the push of revenue. And now all the adoption which is happening on IO, all these customers are bringing new features, which to be honest already exist in a lot of the centralized AI and cloud players. And they're asking these features to basically be getting built on IO platforms so that they can move their millions and millions worth of compute to IO. So we'll just double down there. Like they have seen our product, they like our product, they're already adopting it, right? And the only thing they're asking is, please give us the features which exist on these Amazons and Googles of the world, so that the migration they want from those centralized cloud to IO becomes easier. and we'll just focus on those fundamental things, which is your Kubernetes, your VM, bringing your own model, like these AI agent frameworks, like no code frameworks. We'll just be building on these things which we always thought of, and the discussion we are having in the background with all these enterprises, building these things, and the plan we had will bring us exponential revenue, which we always like planned for. So I met, like as Tori was saying, I met lot of builders here in token in past couple of days, and I think unanimously everybody believes that this cycle in the next few years belong to AI. And one thing which is fundamental to AI is the compute, the cloud. And we are one of the biggest players in that area, period. And the way we've been doing is phenomenal. So we'll just keep executing on the same thing which we always envisioned.
Great, thank you. In terms of execution, over to you, Tori. If you could explain what your role at the foundation will be, what the foundation will do, and how it will help be a major proponent for decentralized AI.
Sure. My role at the foundation is to basically chair a few different things. One, it's just external advocacy, it's strategic partnerships, it's researching new developments in the industry. And I think that's going to be the core goal of the foundation to really, number one, get the word out there about decentralized AI, and then to also build these relationships that we need.
And as a follow up to that, is there any specific policies or agenda or focus that you'll have in the immediacy for promoting decentralized AI? Are there any particular areas that you're passionate about doing earlier on?
Yeah, I think it's really the entire stack. Obviously, we started out as a compute provider, so we need to really continue to focus on compute. But also, we're going to be looking into different things like data. We're going to be looking into models, and eventually, we're going to be looking into agents.
And Gaurav, how do you see the foundation interacting with IONET?
We'll work like partners, right?
Yeah.
We are here to build the business, to be working on the fundamentals, create the tech, work with the customers, the demands they have, and build product ground up. That's what we've been doing in past. That's what we'll be doing in future. But as a whole ecosystem, there are a lot of things which the ecosystem needs, right? They need a person who can guide them in terms of growth. Like for example, one of the things which Tori is great at is structure, is teaching people how to make a business. That's what Tori has done great in past, and that's where he basically succeeds also. And what we have seen is in this whole ecosystem, there are a lot of other small companies that are trying to come in and try to make a mark in the industry. And like one of the reasons this time the Deepen is actually winning is that people have realized that it's much better as an ecosystem to basically work with each other rather than fighting with each other. And one of the main reasons for that is that this whole AI area is so huge that we can all work together and still be super big. Like I was looking at a stat recently that the whole AI space and the cloud space in the next 7 years will be a 2.5 trillion economy. Like we all can succeed together. And that's one of the fundamental realization all the companies have had. And that's why you would have seen that a lot of the crypto, deepen, and AI players have worked a lot together in this cycle, which is very different than in past what has happened in different cycles, right? And as a part of that whole realization, we want the whole ecosystem to grow. We want a lot of new builders who are coming in. They should be groomed, they should be funded, they should be helped, so that more new AI companies should come in, and together we can win against the centralized players, and we can basically have a better AI ecosystem overall. And that's where I think Tori in particular can make a huge difference. He has a vast amount of experience in past in creating startups. He's very good with structure, and these are the things which a lot of the new builders lack. And I think under the guidance of Tori, they can really succeed. and that's what he'll do out there. He'll basically spread a word about the whole industry. Any of the new builders, when they need guidance, he'll be there for them. And any of the new project, if they need any help uh, in terms of monetarily or anything, he's there to help them in their new next journey.
And Tori, picking up on that, what are you going to be able to do differently now as the chairperson than when you were the CEO of IONET? What does this enable it to do that you couldn't do previously?
So I think the main thing is it really frees me up to focus much more externally. Um, I've always seen IONET as the first step in a much larger mission, and that mission is to decentralize AI. And as we've talked about, there are many layers of AI. There is the compute layer, which we started with. Then there's the model layer. There's the data layer. And then there's the agentic layer. And I see IONET, just how sort of like Amazon or Google or any of those dominated to take over the entire internet. We want to dominate and take over all of decentralized AI. So we can really start to reach out into some of these different areas. We can start to grow. We can start to create partnerships. We can use our grant style to invest into different projects in the space, whether that's things like open source tooling or new areas in data or partnerships. But it really sort of allows us to grow. And one of the reasons I'm so comfortable is because we've got Gurov who's running DevCo, and so he can be focused on execution and the product, the growth of the product roadmap. And I can be going out there and sort of exploring what's in the space and just growing IONET and our ecosystem as a whole.
Let me ask then this question to both of you. This is the third CEO that IONET has had in 2 years. How can the community remain confident in IONET's long-term vision and internal alignment? I'll start with you, Gaurav.
See, I think between me and Tori, I think I don't know, like people will like it or not, but you'll be basically seeing us together in the like a good long time in future also. We are here together. This particular change, which we're basically saying a change of CEO, is nothing but basically a alignment between two leaders for actually the growth of the IONET and the IONET ecosystem. Like I'll not basically consider this as a change, rather it actually as an evolution of a project, right? We when we started IO, we always envisioned it to be much more than just a compute, right? And to be honest, if we just remain a compute player of 1 year in future, I think we have failed, honestly, because the amount of traction we see on ground, it's phenomenal. And if we are just stuck up as a normal compute provider, I think we have drastically underachieved. And we all in the leadership in IO realize that, right? And as a part of that, we wanted to make sure that we unlock our full potential as leaders to basically grow the company. And what was that? Like Tori is extremely good at guiding people, talking about things and understanding trends and catching them. That's what he's great at, right? He has done that multiple times in the past, right? I am good at, right? I'm good at tech, product, and execution out on that front. So what we realized was that if as ecosystem we have to grow, right? We have to divide our responsibilities and give our best. And when we divide our responsibility to give our best as an ecosystem, we grow more. And that's why exactly this change has been made. It's not a change in CEO and some this thing. There's actually a evolution. And we were looking forward to this thing almost like from past 6 7 months. Like we are working very closely together on the product and tech from 6 months. Like a lot of the people, like if they want anything in tech, product, what I'll be doing in 6 months. And the community members who are here from long time, they would have realized that I was always there. So this change was always planned from a long time. We're just making it public because we realized that this is the perfect time for us to go into the next evolution of IO. So I don't consider, to be honest, this thing as a change per se, but rather than evolution, right? It's a more of a positive thing rather than thinking in a negative way of a change, right? And with Ahmed, I think it was different, right? With Ahmed, there was so when you build a company, there are two phases of the company, right? Many times you will see there are CEOs in big companies, but those CEOs have never started a company from scratch. They are extremely good people from taking the company from 10 to 90 or 100, but they are not the right fit from 0 to 10, right? And there are certain people who are great at starting the company from scratch till 10, but they haven't done that in past. For that is taking company from 10 to 90, and to learn that art and be at that position, they'll take years. And that's exactly where Ahmed was. Ahmed was the guy who has started like five, six companies before IO. So he knows how to basically start something like on its own, alone, working on a project, like without any funding. That's what he's great at. A lot of the big players, to be honest, can't do that, right? But he's great at that. So he did uh, the unthinkable, that he can basically build one of the decentralized AI players and compete with centralized players and started from scratch alone. And then in the very early phase, then the other co-founders like Bassem, Tori joined him, and he made the company till 10, right? But he realized that in the next journey from 10 to 90 or 100, if he does it, he'll take next 2 3 years years to learn that art. He's still young. He was, I think, under 30 at that time. He has never worked in a bigger organization, and to learn all that art, it would have taken multiple years. And then he thought, okay, the best guy in the team at that time to take the company to a next level should be somebody who has seen the industry, who's structured, who knows how to set KPIs, who know how to guide people and how to grow the team and so on and so forth. And at that time, among all the team members who were there, thought he was the best first, honestly, because he's been in multiple big organizations. He knows how the structure works. He knows how to scale the company, and that was a very natural evolution from a very early phase startup to a more matured company. That's the transition there, right? So I think all these things, like if you take it in vacuum, people may get panicked. But if you take a step back and think it maturely, why these things happened when it happened, then it makes sense. So this is just an evolution of the company, which is very natural, to be honest. Like even in the phase like Google, like there were two founders who found Google, and eventually they took a step back, still remained involved in the company, and they gave the reins to somebody else to run the company at a higher level because they knew that they're great at building tech and product, but they haven't done that structured running the big company as a great enterprise. And they also did the same thing. And there are numerous examples like that. So that's what at play out here also, which is evolution of the organization.
Yeah, I don't think I have much more to add. Gaurav hit the nail on the head. It really is about evolution. And people sometimes ask me what has changed or what has shifted, and I really say nothing has changed. IONET is the culmination of my life's work, and when I founded the company with Ahmad, Bassem, Saad, we had a very specific vision to decentralize AI, and that's unchanged. But as a founder, it's also essential to adapt to what best serves our mission at any given time. And right now, the most impactful thing that I can personally do is dedicate myself entirely to championing the decentralized AI through the foundation. As I mentioned previously, with the space reaching a critical inflection point, we need intensified advocacy and we need strategic influence externally. At the same time, IONET requires laser focused operational leadership, and that's where Growth excels. And the shift just basically ensures IONET is optimized both internally and externally, empowering us to fully realize our ambitious vision.
Speaking on that concept of evolution, Gaurav, this is your first time being CEO. How are you approaching this role differently? There have been some discussions about what you bring in as advantages with your background. What are challenges or additional benefits that you're going to bring in that are different from your role as CTO?
You see, there are plus and minuses both, right? On one hand, I've never ran as official CEO. That's true. But there's also times in the past, big organizations which I've been part of, where I was running, let's say, a vertical in a very big organization where I was literally running the company as a CEO of that vertical. I've had in past where as just that vertical in the company. Bigger teams, in fact, thrice the size of the teams, which is in the IO overall as a company. And over there, the product, the tech, all the departments you normally have in the company were reporting to me. So I've not officially as a title done a job as a CEO, but in practice, I've run bigger organization and bigger verticals as a CEO, like twice the size of IO in past. So I know what it takes. I know what the responsibility is, but I still humbly take it as a challenge. And and I think there are a lot of people who I've worked with in the past, and I'm in regular touch with them to get more grooming. Because I think even if you are uh, like 30s in the industry, the learning never stops, and so is the case out here. I am in touch of people. I am in touch of like big CEOs in the big enterprises and getting feedback what the next state of my evolution should be. So I'm doing that during this time. What I bring to the table basically is the the actual vision itself. So, like in reality, what we're doing right now in IO is a very tech focused product, right? If you want to build a very successful cloud, you really have to think like a developer, that when you're writing code, when you're using a GPU, when you're creating a framework, how will a developer like use that? And if you make that particular user's experience good, as a product, we will succeed. I think that's where my past experience helps, because I've been a builder from last 20 plus years. I've been a developer in past. So when I basically think not just from the business perspective, like what this particular idea will bring to the table in terms of revenue and all these things, and what particular feature the customer is asking, I can also envision how this particular feature should be built. What should be the user experience, right? Where a particular developer will struggle if he'll interact with this platform. So those are the positive which comes in front when I become the CEO. And on the other front, I think the other challenges which people might think, the relationship, the hierarchy. I think one of the great things in IO was that we were working together for a mission, and we were literally spending like sometimes 17, 18 hours a day on the project. We're all literally working like here like a family. Like we know each other inside out. We exactly know what makes somebody feel motivated, what actually brings somebody down, right? We know each other's family also to that level. So I think the relationship and all these things are already present. So we exactly can call out each other when we're doing a good job, when we're doing a bad job. So we keep each other honest all the time. So I think that's another positive which we have in IO. So I think we are in a good place as a team. I'm quite confident of what we're building. I know my shortcomings, I know my positives, and I'm humble enough that I know where I need help, and I'll ask that. And to be honest, as I said, it's kind of a family. So my peers are brutal enough to give a feedback if I fall short in some place. So culmination of all, I think we are in a good place.
Switching slight gears here to talk about builders from both perspectives. First, I'll start with you, Tori. Where, if I'm a builder and I'm interested in finding out more information about the foundation, where can I get updates for it?
So you can always check our website, iog.net, or we're going to regularly start posting stuff through our Twitter and LinkedIn accounts.
And what does the first grant cycle look like? What kind of teams or builders are you hoping to support?
So we're finalizing dates on this, and we're going to continue to keep you in the loop. But the short answer is that we will be targeting projects innovating in decentralized compute, open source tooling, AI transparency, and community governance models. We aim to support passionate teams dedicated to building foundational infrastructure that serve the broader AI ecosystem.
Great. And then, Gaurav, as CEO, speaking of builders, will you be as forward facing as before? For example, will you still continue to participate in these weekly spaces?
The answer is absolutely yes. In fact, I will double down that I would like more of my C-level folks to be more involved out here so that they can hear the community directly. They can hear the feedback directly. For example, last time when I joined the EMA, somebody like gave a very solid and good feedback that in some of our products documentation wasn't very great. I think that is phenomenal to hear as a builder, that you have a product which you think from data that somebody is using, and then you get a feedback, no, people want to use it even more, but we are lacking in certain areas, and if we improve in that place, we'll get more adoption. There's nothing more nice to hear it, but for that thing to come to us, we need to have our ears to the ground. So I think we'll double down on that side. So it's not just me regularly joining. I'll actually ask some of my other senior folks in the AMA to start joining also, so that they can hear the feedback directly from the community, that where are we doing good, where are we doing bad, so that like wherever we're doing good, we can double down, and where we were doing bad, we can take it on the chin and improve as a team. So yeah, that'll be the case in future also. There is a possibility that as a part of this job, I do need to fly, and if that flying schedule uh, overlaps with the AMA, then I may have to miss. But I'll make sure my level bless that that's minimal to none.
And we have some questions for the community. Speaking on more participation, some of the questions are going to be answered by our head of product. We'll be doing a larger product technical AMA community next week. So we'll save some of those questions until then, but make sure to stay tuned and submit your questions, and also be sure to join it. One question that we have from the community for both of you is around the vision for IONet. The question is, how do you plan to drive adoption of IO among developers, users, suppliers, and investors? And what role will the token play in the broader decentralized AI ecosystem? And so, Grav, I'll hand it over to you first. And then, Tori, if there's anything you wanted to add about what the foundation will do overall, I'll go to you. So, Grav?
To be honest, uh, it's it's we're in a very good place as a project in this regards, because the hard work, the hardest part, is kind of already done. So when you're working on a flywheel, right? Uh, Initially having the starting momentum is the hardest thing to do, and we've already done that, right? Now we are at a place that we have a product which the industry needs, and they're already adopting that. That's why the revenue is flowing in. Now we are at a place that these customers are coming and telling us that please build these features, and if you do, we can migrate and adopt to you at a higher scale. So we exactly know the vision, and the vision is culmination of what we had thought in past, and now what the customer is coming upfront and saying, please build this to me and get the revenue. Right? So that is on one side, right? So the revenue piece on the GPU business, which is compute and how to make the compute consumption easier. That roadmap is there in the company, right? Which is build Kubernetes, build VMs, self-serving bare metal, and so on and so forth out there. That is a different stream of product which we are building, right? Now there's another stream of projects, right, where there's more innovation which is supposed to happen. There's more ideas which you have to throw against the wall and see which one works, right? Because whenever you build something, you try out many ideas, and few of them win, and then when you see which wins, and you double down on that, right? And that's on the side of the IO intelligence piece. Over there, the grand vision obviously is to create an ecosystem where developers can build their own models, deploy the models, scale the models, uh, work with some fundamental agents which we give them, and they have tools to play like in a very easy way to build their own agents, have different kind of tech like uh, RAG, vertical DB, so and so forth, right? To make their life easy. That's a vision out there. And honestly speaking, if we succeed even partially there, that business would be magnitude bigger than the GPU business. That's a kind of a upside it has. And on that side of the business, the another advantage it gives us as a company is stickiness. Because when companies grow and become matured, they initially when they're a startup, everybody thinks about a dollar being spent, right? So they come to players because they think about the money. But if you want to keep these players with you for a longer period of time, when they become mature as a mid-level company or big enterprises where they have 30 billion, $20 billion revenue, you need to have a lot of features which the developers are asking for, right? Which makes the life easy. So we are building those products now itself because we know our customers. We literally had one of the customers who's the industry leading guy, which basically got bought out by Canva. Like it can't be bigger in that side of the business. We had like literally those kind of people working in, right? Now to keep those kind of customers forever, you literally have to compete with Amazon of the world and the experience they give. So that other extreme of the IO intelligence and that piece, that's where more innovative stuff will be done. We'll try out a lot of ideas. We already have some projects in pipeline, to be honest, which are already built, and we are having our products in the company deployed on that tech, and we are making it matured. Once it's matured, we'll start to release it very, very soon. So, so there'll be like you'll practically see two streams of businesses and company. One selling compute, an easy way of compute, and second is this intelligence piece and the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I think Gaurav covered most of it, but sort of stepping back, when we founded this company, one of our visions was this idea of IO as the
Sorry, if you're trying to
currency.
speak, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, loud and clear.
Can you hear?
Hello?
Okay.
Yes.
Hans,
When we
can you hear me?
founded this company, one of our initial visions was for IO to be the currency of AI. And note that I didn't say compute. Compute's a part of it, but as I mentioned, AI, there's a lot of pieces in the AI value chain, and it really starts with compute, but there's data, there's models, there's agents. And so I've always seen a world where ideally people would use IO for anything AI related. So yeah, if you want to buy compute, you pay for it in IO. If you want to use a model, you pay for it in IO. If you want to use an agent, IO. If you want to purchase some data, IO. And crypto is essential for this because it goes across borders. You can do micropayments. You pay for every inference, and it could just all happen seamlessly. That's a long path, but I think where we're at right now is the first step of that path. And that's we've effectively monetized the compute. And through the combination of both DevCo and the foundation, and that's why one of the main reasons I moved over, I want to make this broader because, just as Bitcoin became decentralized money and, Ethereum and Solana are branching out into different areas like DeFi, NFTs, I want to make IO the currency of AI.
Great. I can't think of a better stopping point than that. Unless there are any final comments from either of you, that takes care of our community questions. And I want to say I appreciate all of our listeners. And of course, Gaurav and Tori, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's late there in Dubai. So if there are any closing statements, happy to do it. If not, we can just
We
close
don't
the session.
stop working at IONet.
Tori, you're giving us a lot of mic drop comments to end this space, but I want to give Gaurav any closing statements before we finish off.
No, sir. I think Victoria has put it correctly, right? In IO, we never stop. So I think that's the main point.
Great. Well, thanks to everyone. Next week, we will be doing a community AMA, so make sure to join the Discord, submit questions, and be ready for responses for our larger team. Thank you very much, and be sure to check out Gaurav and Tori's feed and the IO feed for updates about the foundation and token. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.